I guess I should thank my wife, even though I never will. In fact, I pray to God that she never finds out, because it would make a difference. And Lord knows I don't want that to happen. It all started the day I found out my wife was unfaithful. It was a story as old as the world. We were going to go somewhere, but something happened, and I had to cancel. My wife went alone. I excused myself from what I had to do and showed up just in time to see my wife leave with another man. I followed her and watched as she sucked him hard, and then him a second time. I quietly left, and later that night came home to a loving wife who told me she had been horny all day thinking about me. She dragged me upstairs to the bedroom. This was the first time I had deliberately had sloppy seconds, but not the last. I never let her know she'd been discovered. Life goes on. No, I wasn't the kind of guy who enjoys knowing his wife is having sex with other men. I was a guy who, at the time, could not, under any circumstances, afford a divorce. It would happen in the future. But for now, I had to smile and be patient. That didn't mean I didn't start gathering information to use when it came time to call the lawyers. I figured that since Denise was cheating, she probably did it at home from time to time. So I wired the house for sound, bought nanny cams, and hid them in rooms where I thought Denise was likely to spread her legs. I then hooked up a voice recorder to the phone line. It didn't take me long to find out that in addition to who she had away from home, she was also sleeping with 5 or 6 guys who visited her home almost regularly. What pissed me off the most when I found out my wife was a cheater was that the guys who were staying at my house were my friends. To keep Denise from finding out, I had to stay on good terms with these guys, but I made a mental note to myself that when I finally went after Denise, I would make sure they got theirs. A year passed and my collection of evidence grew. I had audio and video of 11 different men burying a bone in Denise. In fact, I had several videos of them. Barney, the guy who was supposed to be my best friend, had been taped at least 78 times. His wife would love those tapes when I finally decided to dump Denise. The one thing I could never understand was all the sex, love, and affection I was getting from Denise, even when she was having other men by the dozens. It must have been guilt. That's all I can surmise. During that same year, I did what I could to quietly dispose of the assets, converting them to cash, and then putting the cash in a safe, knowing that lawyers can always find money hidden in banks. I rented a lockbox using the name and social security number of my long-dead maternal grandfather. I sold the big boat, but told Denise that it smelled rotten, and I had to sell it for 1/3 of the value. I put that 1/3 into our savings account and put the other 2/3 in a safe deposit box. Next was a lakeside property that Denise didn't even know existed. She had always dreamed of a cabin on the lake, and I bought this house with the intention of building a cabin on it and giving it to her for our 10th anniversary. Next was my coin collection, which was started by my great-grandfather and then passed on to my grandfather, who passed it on to my father, who passed it on to me. That was followed by my gun collection, comic book collection, baseball cards, and soon all I had left was my 2-year-old pickup truck and $187,000 in the safe. The house was mortgaged up to the hilt, so Denise would get a hell of a lot less of the proceeds when the house sold, and I had nothing else she and her lawyer could lay their hands on. I was finally ready to go after Denise, but I decided she would be the last one. I would let her see her lovers fall one by one so she would wonder what was going on and maybe even worry about it. Barney, not Denise, would be the first. In the morning, I said I was sick and was sitting a block away from Barney's house when he went to work. 20 minutes later, his 2 kids came out and headed to school, which meant Bev was home alone. I rang the doorbell and Bev appeared on the doorstep. "Bob, what are you doing here this early? You just missed Barney." "I didn't come to see Barney, I came to see you. Can I come in?" "Come into the kitchen. I'll get you a cup of coffee." As she poured the coffee, she asked, "What's the matter?" "I'm getting ready to solve a problem, Bev, and when I do, you'll suddenly have a problem, and since my quarrel isn't with you, I'd like to warn you in advance. Can we get coffee in the living room? I have something I want to show you. I recorded all of Barney's visits to Denise on one tape and, inserting the tape into the VCR, told Bev what I had learned about Denise. She looked surprised and asked, "Didn't you know?" "Didn't know what?" "That she was sleeping with other people." "No. I didn't know that, but I guess you did. Barney told me she said she had your permission, that you got turned on by her having sex with other men." "Did you know she was sleeping with Barney?" "God, no. Bob, Barney wouldn't do that to you. He just found out from talking to the other guys." I pressed the play button, and Bev saw Barney lying on my bed and Denise sliding up and down. Bev sat in stunned silence for almost a minute. Then she said, "That bloody bastard! He swore to me that he never went near her when you weren't around." This tape shows him visiting her 78 times in the last year. What are you going to do? Divorce her for adultery and drag everyone on my record into court? How many are there? I have a record of 11 of them. Who are they? I named them, and she shook her head in disgust. It's so nice to have such good friends, isn't it? So that's why you're here? Just to let you know what's going on and to give you this tape so there's proof if you decide to use it? Can I talk you out of it just for a little while? Why? Because Barney's up for a raise, and my alimony and child support depend on what my husband makes. Let him get a raise so I can give him a good squeeze. And there's another reason. She left for almost 5 minutes, and when she came back, she was wearing nothing but black high-heeled shoes. Another reason I'd like you to hold off for now is that I'd much rather get even with the bastard while we're married and living together. Are you ready for a little revenge? A little payback, so to speak? I've really been on my toes since she walked into the room naked. To answer her question, I unzipped, and she smiled. "Oh no, baby, not here in his bedroom. I have no idea why Barney found it necessary to screw my wife when he had a superior ass himself." Bev was insatiable and kept me occupied until 2 in the afternoon. "Damn it, Bob, why did you stop?" I pointed to the clock. "I'm sure you'd rather I wasn't here when the kids got home from school." "Oh, I completely lost track of time." "You're right, you should go. When can we do this again?" "Whenever you want, tonight." "How can you do that tonight?" "I usually play bridge with the girls I went to school with." "I'll call and not go. I usually leave at 6 and don't get back until 11:30. "Okay, I'll meet you at the Safeway parking lot. We'll leave your car there and go somewhere." That night, she was even more insatiable, if that was even possible. I checked into Motel 6, and Bev reached for my zipper before the door even closed. I think she's starting to suspect something. My sex life with her has decreased from 4 or 5 times a week to 2 or 3 times every 2 weeks. I cite the stress of work as an excuse, and so far she seems to be buying it. If she catches me, it'll put an end to what I'm doing to Bev, Beth, and Sally Quinn, since all they're interested in is sleeping behind their hubbies' backs and hanging cuckold horns on them. I don't know about the other 4, but I suspect it would be over for them too. So what it boils down to is that divorcing my unfaithful wife would likely end the most wonderful sex I've ever had in my life. I have to ignore or at least put up with Denise's cheating. And isn't that just kicking her ass? What do you make of this? Please let me know in the comments below. We appreciate your presence today. Subscribe to our channel to ensure your next chef remains loyal. Stay tuned for the next story. It's nothing compared to what's coming. However, if you're under 18, I strongly advise against listening to the following tale.